Hi guys, welcome back to the Shannon Show podcast. So today's podcast is going to be a review of RuPaul's Drag Race Season 12, Episode 3. So I guess this is where the competition really starts. Obviously the first two episodes were meant to be two separate premieres. I'm still not really sure why they did that. But yeah, anyway, obviously last week there was a lot of scandal, especially with Sherry Pie and Britcha Filter. A week has passed. Britcha Filter hasn't been disqualified, so I doubt she is going to be disqualified. But it's a thing where these allegations are probably just going to follow her for the next for the remainder of this season and probably the remainder of her career. Obviously last week I mentioned it, how I thought potentially they didn't have time to cut Sherry out of the edits. Obviously with all of their promo stuff they're cutting her out, but this episode, again, Sherry is just all up in it. Like, they haven't muted her. They haven't made an attempt to limit her inside the show. So I guess they're just kind of just like, fuck it, we're going to do what we want. And I guess we're just going to have to deal with her. But I don't agree with how much Sherry Pie is in the season. I definitely think that they should do a mute edit, and they should have done a mute edit this episode. But obviously, I guess, the creators of the show have just decided that they're going to do whatever they want, and people are probably still going to watch it. So yeah, but what do you guys think? Do you feel like it is what it is, we're just going to have to deal with it, or do you feel like there should be a mute edit? Let me know what you think. So the two groups reunite, and obviously the last episode ends on the classic standoffishy thing, but everybody seems to hug each other. Some of them actually know each other, but there seems to be a kind of divide as to like the different queens that premiered on different episodes. I feel like we see it every year, but there's obviously going to be some type of alliances / friendships amongst the queens. And yeah, at the beginning of the episode we also see Jada basically just spilling all of the tea, like right off the bat, all of the arguments, all the disagreements, trying to justify her point of view and things like that. It just wasn't tasteful to just be spilling out your issues and stuff so early on. And like Widow says, she was like, go on then, tell us all your weaknesses. And yeah, I just didn't really know what the thought process behind that was. I just feel like, why would you want to even start drama and start disagreements with people? Because you never know who you might need in the show, whether you need someone to help you out and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not really sure why Jada decided to do that. But as I said in my prior podcasts, I feel like Jada is just going to be, I feel like she's a strong competitor, but she's definitely going to be someone who just wants to have the last word or have to speak on unnecessary stuff, and is going to be very petty and argumentative. But what did you guys think about the whole situation? Do you feel like you understand it, or do you feel like, what are you doing? So in the beginning of the episode, they let us know early on that it's going to be changed back to the lip sync for your life. Obviously, in the last two episodes, they had a different format where the top queens were actually lip syncing for a tip. And as I said and if for those of you who don't know, like I said last time, in the All-Stars format they do the same, except for the top queens get to choose out of the bottom. Getting a bit boring. Or maybe done like alternative episodes. One episode is a lip sync for your life, one episode there's a lip sync to send whoever you want out of the bottom queens home. But yeah, what do you guys think? Are you glad that they've now reverted it back, or would you have preferred to have seen a different type of lip sync format? Let me know. So in the kind of main / mini challenge, it's the same thing that they did in the UK Drag Race. And in the UK Drag Race there was the thing where I think it was the queen that won last time. The queen that won last time had to pick who they thought was their had to position the queens on who they thought was their most competition to their least amount of competition. And obviously there was two winners, so they both got to do it to the opposite group, which is a bit confusing. But obviously so the top queens were Widow and Jada. Widow picks her biggest competition as Pervy Pie, and then Jan, and then Dahlia, then Rock M, then Aiden. Now in terms of what I think about that, I think out of that whole group, I think Pervy Pie is probably the biggest competition. Obviously she's trash, but she is a good competitor. She would have been someone to watch and someone to beat. And then I'd probably say I wouldn't have picked Jan next. I probably would have picked Rock M. I think maybe she definitely slipped on Rock M. Rock M, she seems like a polished queen and she performs quite well. I feel like she could be potentially a dark horse. I'm not sure if I could call her a winner yet, but she could potentially be a dark horse. And I think maybe the other queens are overlooking Rock M. So I probably would have put Rock M next. Then I would have put Jan because she does have a bit of creativity. She's got a great voice and she's got personality and she's a good performer. I would have put Aiden. I haven't really seen much of Aiden, so I would have put her there. And then I would have put Dahlia because from the very first episode, she screamed to me, unpolished queen that's going to go out early. Obviously, Aiden is in the confessional saying she's unbothered that Widow picked her as her, least amount of competition. But you could tell that she was bothered because when she was standing in the line, that thing when people are angry and boiling and they're tapping their legs and, they're putting their nose up in the air. Aiden was pissed. Aiden was offended. So then it was Jada. And she picked Gigi as her biggest competition, then Britta, then Nikki, then Jackie, then Crystal, then Heidi as her least amount of competition. I agree that Gigi is probably her biggest competition, and I agree that Heidi is probably her least amount of competition. But in terms of the positioning, I think I would have put Gigi, then Jackie, then Britta, then Nikki, then Crystal, then Heidi. I think, again, Jackie is being slept on. She's been bringing looks. She's a strong competitor. Another person who I think Jackie could potentially have potential to snatch the crown. So I definitely feel like Jackie is being a bit overlooked. But I'd be interested to hear how you would have positioned people out of the two groups. So, of course, Heidi's in the confessional pressed. But yeah, I feel like Heidi's a weak competitor. I know she's not going to win. It's just going to be one of those things where she scrapes by as far as she can get. But I highly doubt she'll be touching the final. So obviously they switch it up. So the team captains are the tops and the people who the tops chose as their least amount of competition. So therefore the team captains are Heidi, Aiden, Jada and Widow, and they all get to choose their teams. And the challenge this week is meant to be like a spoof of a talent show, but it's meant to be the worst talent show ever. So it's a kind of comedy challenge. And Nikki was in the confessional throwing shade saying, it's going to be hard for her to be the worst, but it's going to be easy for other people. That was a sweet line, but those words definitely came back to bite her in the ass. So Widow picks Nikki and Crystal to be on her team. Jada picks Jan and Dahlia to be on her team. Heidi picks Jackie and Gigi to be on her team. Jackie, I could tell she didn't really want to be picked by Heidi because she was like, okay, when Heidi picked her. I definitely caught that. It was very subtle, but I caught that. And then Aiden picks Pervy Pie and Britta. And Britta, she masked it well. I can tell Britta didn't want to be on Aiden's team, but she actually masked it well. But Pervy Pie, she wanted no parts. Like, she made a face and she was bitching in the confessional. She did not want to be in that group. And then Rock M gets picked last, so she gets to choose what team she wants to be a part of, and she picks to be a part of Jada's team. Like I said, people are sleeping on Rock M. If I was picking, I think I probably would have picked Gigi and Jan to be on my team. I feel like they're both very high energy, so it would have been easy to bounce off of them. But if you're one of the team captains, who would you have picked to be on your team? Obviously, we see them preparing for the challenge. Aiden's with Pervy Pie and Britta. And Pervy Pie and Britta just take over. Like, they're not letting her get a word in. And it's just like she's not even the team captain at this point. But I feel like Aiden is just letting them take control because they're both strong competitors. So she'd rather just go with it and be safe rather than using up her energy to argue with them. Then we see Jada's group has Dahlia and Jan in it, and there's a bit of tension because Rock M wants to be an apple role, and she asked Jada if she could be the apple role. hoping she was going to say yes, but Jada was like, no, I want to be the apple. And obviously Jada is the team leader, so whatever she says goes. And then, you know, after a while, she's just simmering on it, and she tries to ask again, and Jada again was just like, no, I'm going to be the apple. And you know what? Fair dues for Rupaul'S for trying. Like, if you don't ask, you're not going to get. But I feel like the first time that Jada said no, she should have just firmed it. That, like, Jada clearly did not want to give up that role. She's the team leader, so obviously she's going to take whatever role that she wants. And then Heidi's team obviously has Gigi and Jackie in it. And again, I feel like Heidi was kind of taking a back seat. She was kind of letting Jackie basically lead the group. And then we see Widow's group obviously has Christy and Nikki in it. And then Nikki offers herself for a sexy role. Then in the confessional, she was like, oh, I'm unhappy. I should have chosen that other role. But I was just kind of thinking, if you were upset and you thought that you were being too predictable, why don't you just pipe up? I feel like Widow probably would have switched sides with her, because Widow is quite versatile and she's quite confident, and she would have been confident in any roles that she probably would have switched. So I just feel like if you feel a type of way, you got to pipe up, because I just don't have sympathy for people who are complaining that they didn't get what they want when they didn't even try and fight for it. Like, at least Rupaul'S, you know, tried to ask for it, didn't get it, and then complained. Like, I'm not here for people complaining who didn't even try in the first place. So we also see a little section where obviously Ru's going around to the stations and asking the Queen's questions. And Ru basically tells Heidi that her full drag name, hiding in closet, is horrible. And she was in the confessional saying, oh, you know, I'll do anything on this show. Like, if I have to change my name, like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm just kind of thinking, I'm not going to lie, I'll change my name too. But I was just like, you know, you didn't even try and fight for the name that you named yourself. Where is the integrity? See the challenge go down. So Heidi's team is first. It's average. I didn't really find it that funny, to be honest. It was high energy, but I didn't really find it funny. It's just a classical three old ladies. I guess I have to follow the script, but it's just a classical three old ladies with arthritis, and one of them is unresponsive and then suddenly becomes responsive again. It's a skit that we've seen before, and you know, like, they all performed decently, and I feel like, I guess the strongest performer in that group, I think, was Jackie. I feel like Jackie did the best in that group. Then we see Widow's team next. It's like a Girl Scout skit. And I was quite underwhelmed and disappointed by Widow's performance. I felt like it was a very mediocre drunk performance. Crystal was flat. She messed up her lines quite a few times, or she didn't really know how to bounce. Crystal was quite flat as well. Sometimes she didn't really know how to bounce off other people, the judges, for the improv. And Nikki was okay, but she played it safe. I feel like with these challenges, you do have to go over the top, and she just played it safe. So I felt like that if it was a thing where the whole group was up for the chop, I feel like they would have been bottom bait. Then we see Jada's group, which is kind of like a fruit and vegetable skit. Dahlia was just bad, like, clearly bad. Like, I don't know what she was doing with her voice. She sounded like 2009 Ariana Grande when she was back on Victorious. It was a whole mess, and I was just like, we're seeing you lip syncing tonight, baby. And then Rupaul'S and Jan were pretty decent. But I feel like the standout performance out of their group was obviously Jada as the bad apple. She stole the show, and she really revived the group, in my opinion. But I feel like as a group, if there was a thing where it was the groups that were up for the chop, they would have been bottom bait. Then it was Aiden's group. I feel like as a unit, they were good, but Britta and PSI definitely outshone Aiden. And it was a whole kind of three-brain skit. It was quite confusing. I wasn't really sure what was meant to be funny about it. But I feel like with the standard of what had went on this episode, I feel like they were overall the best skit. So after the whole skit situation, there's a little bit of drama. Britta and PSI basically corner Aiden and were basically just criticizing her, saying that she wasn't a leader and they were the ones that carried the group. These were all facts, but I was just kind of just like, was it necessary to just come at Aiden like that? I felt like I was a little bit mean and I was a little bit bullyish considering how overbearing they both were. Obviously, Aiden isn't here for her. I'm here for her. She tried to stand up for herself. She stands up for herself a bit more in the confessional. But, you know, I definitely understand where Aiden is coming from. Like, I would hate to be in a group with Pervy Pie and Britta, because we would just be fighting. We wouldn't get any work done. And I felt like Aiden knew she didn't have the energy to fight, and she knew that fighting probably wouldn't be the best thing to do. It would be easier just to go along with what they were saying and be safe. But I do think that Aiden does need to pipe up a bit more, because she's a bit of a confessional gangster. Then we have the story of the week. It's not really a sub-story. It's kind of more of an upbeat feel story. So Dahlia basically reveals that her and her brother were gay. They basically came out within like 6 months of each other, and that their mother basically said that she knew and was very accepting of them. So we've got a upbeat story this week. So I guess in terms of switching it up, I felt like maybe they switched it up that part. And then it is on to Elimination Day. The guest judge this week is Olivia Munn, and Olivia Munn is looking good, honey. Skin glowing, makeup on point. So on the runway, this episode's theme was buttons and bows, and I feel like the best outfits for me were Jan. I feel like Jan's outfit was very creative with the whole kind of sewing element. Obviously button and bows are very decorative, very arts and craft. It was a very clever concept, because it kind of reminded me of that box that you keep that has all of like the needles and the buttons and accessories in it. And then the other outfit that I really loved was Gigi's outfit. The button suit, I would wear it, very creative, and I'm excited to see what other looks Gigi has to pull out the bag. Now, in terms of the worst outfits, I have a very long list today. I feel like the outfits on this runway were one of the worst that I have seen in a season. So the first worst outfit I think was Dahlias. I feel like it was creative, it was a good idea, but the execution was poor, and again, it looked cheap. The next one was Widow. Again, in her voiceover, she's talking about she's being high fashion, she's being couture. But again, this looked like, you know, when you tell your auntie you want to buy this expensive outfit and the auntie's gassing you up like, no, I can make it for you cheaper. And then when you get the item just looks cheap. And that's what Widow's outfit looked like. The outfit looked cheap. It did not look high couture whatsoever. Then the next worst outfit I think was Crystal's outfit. Again, it was cheap and it was ill-fitting and it was very lazy. And the last worst outfit was Aiden's. It was very pedestrian. In the voiceover, she was talking about, I like taking simple things and then making them something bigger. And I was just like, where is this bigger, please? You look basic as fuck. And that's when I was just like, you know what? I knew she was gassing when she was talking about she's unique, she's that, because that was probably one of the most basic outfits that was on the runway, period. I think even Dahlia had a more interesting outfit than Aiden did. So yeah, I'm still optimistic about the creativity in terms of the runway, but I'm gonna need some of these girls to fix up. In terms of my predictions for everything, obviously taking everything into account, the skits and the runway, I thought that the tops of the week were Jackie, Pervy Pie, and Britta Filter. In terms of the bottom, I thought my bottom two were Dahlia and Crystal. So the safe queens this week were Widow, Jada, Jan, Rock, Gigi, Aiden, and Britta. And in terms of the judges' critiques, it wasn't looking good for Dahlia. Everybody just basically called her out on her performance and how bad it was. And I think Michelle said something about her headpiece. I'm not sure why nobody said anything about her outfit, because her outfit was like poorly constructed. Jackie overall got good critiques. Crystal got some critiques about her performance and her makeup, and how her makeup is just a bit repetitive. And then she has a little emotional moment and basically says that she hides behind her makeup because she's not confident. And honestly, I'm not surprised that she's coming out saying that she is insecure. Normally, people who think that it's acceptable to do outlandish caricatures of black women usually have insecurity issues. So that wasn't really that much of a surprise for me. I would like Crystal to do her and stop pretending to be more of Crystal being herself. I think that would be beneficial extremely for her. The next critique was Nikki. And again, there was critiques on her performance. Basically says that she disappeared and she didn't push herself far enough. One of the judges must have mentioned something about, is it because like you're not confident in your English? And she kind of just latched onto that, like, oh yeah, I'm not confident in my English. And that was bullshit, because in the confessional, when the challenge was happening, she was there cussing out Crystal, basically saying how she not saying anything when she has 28 years worth of English and I only have 3. So I feel like that was a bit cheeky from Nikki, trying to use her accent to gain some sympathy from the judges, or gain some type of leniency from the judges. And then Pervy Pie had positive critiques. So the winner of today's challenge was Pervy Pie. Do I think that she deserved it? I think that she performed well, but I think the win should have gone to Jackie, in my opinion. In the bottom 3 was Crystal, Nikki and Dahlia, and obviously Crystal gets saved, and it's Nikki and Dahlia doing the lip sync for their life, and they're doing it to Ariana Grande, One Less Problem, and instantly I'm just like, this is a shit lip sync. It was low energy. Again, this was an easy lip sync to win. Dahlia, again, I don't know what I'm not even sure if she was trying to be sexy. I think she was just trying to remember the words. It was just so bad. She was turning around. You know, them ones when you don't know the words and she's turning around. I'm like, this is just Ricky moves, baby. You're better off just having the time of your life trying to make it. You're better off just singing the wrong words and going for it. Nikki's performance, again, underwhelming. I've seen her do better. I saw her do better in the whole first challenge when they had to do a performance. I've seen her do better in that. She kept it very safe, but I felt like she looked to the side and she saw Dahlia and she was like, this girl was a mess. This is going to be an easy win. Let me just play it cute. Let me play it safe, and I'll, show up my best moves when I really need it. So maybe that's why Nikki was giving no energy. Maybe it was a strategic thing, because Nikki really didn't need to do that much. But again, another unsatisfying lip sync. What the hell is going on? I feel like the British Queens are actually giving this season a run for their money, and I thought the British Queens were bad. What the hell is going on with this lip sync season? There definitely needs to be some type of vigorous lip syncing audition now, because I'm getting sick of these mediocre lip syncs. So obviously Nikki wins. Dahlia goes, she's told to sashay away. She doesn't say bye to everyone. She just basically storms off stage. I feel like she's just disappointed in herself that she did a shit job, disappointed in herself that she did a shit lip sync, and disappointed that she is the first person off. It is embarrassing to be the first person off. I guess the main thing is that you don't want to be the first person to go. So she was projecting a lot on Crystal, basically saying that she should have been the one lip syncing for her life and not her. I feel like Crystal should have been lip syncing for her life, but in place of Nikki rather than Dahlia. Dahlia, like, the performance was rubbish, the look was rubbish, it's been consistently bad. First out was your future, babe. But, I'm gonna miss Delilah's half-assed, shady ass. I am. I'm wishing her the best. She needs to definitely work on her performance skills, and she definitely needs to hire somebody else to make her clothes. But overall, again, another underwhelming episode. The skits were very uncreative. Like, I'm just kind of thinking, you have access to all of these writers. Why were the skits so boring? I don't understand. So let's see what Twitter is saying. People are saying that they're not here for Rue coming for Heiden's name, and basically saying that there's been worse names on the season. I thought it was very strange that she did come for her name, to be honest. I feel like there has been worse names on the show, like there has been. People are saying that this episode was a mess and that they expected a double elimination. Honestly, I thought that they were going to do a double elimination, because I was like, both of these hoes are shit. I wouldn't be surprised if Rue sent both of them home. People are asking for more airtime for Crystal Method. People are not here for Britta and Pervy Pie bullying Aiden. People are sick of Sherry Pie and Britta. People are wondering why the judges didn't read Dahlia's silhouette. That's what I'm saying. Nobody said anything about her outfit. People are saying that Aiden Zane's look is mediocre. People are standing Crystal Method and Rock M. People are not here for the judges' critiques on Crystal Method's makeup. People are upset that Heidi didn't win. People are saying that Heidi, Gigi and Jackie Cox should have won today's challenge. People are saying that Jan is too positive. People are making prison jokes about Pervy Pie. And people are saying that Dahlia and Nikki were very low energy. So yeah, that's the end of the tweets. I'd be interested to know what your thoughts were on this episode. I'd be interested to know what your thoughts were on this podcast. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and if you have, don't forget to put your notification bell on so you'll know when the next review is dropping. Till next time, guys. Bye.